Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. Welcome to Disclosure Now. Sorry I was a minute late. My neighbor came by, concerned about something. Kind of a weird smell, like maybe a gas leak. It's probably nothing. But anyway, we were texting the landlord about it. I don't really know what else we can do. But anyway, so today I wanted to talk about the immigration crisis because it is a crisis. It is a thing that's happening. We're seeing it across the world. This used to be something that I think you heard more about in the United States, at least what it seemed like to me. And, there's the whole idea of building a wall and all this stuff. So obviously it's something that people talk about a lot is the fact that like illegal immigration. And I think like across the board, people always say the same thing. Like they say that it's not immigration that's the problem. It's when it's not done through the proper channels and it's done illegally. But then the problem with that, of course, is some of these people that are leaving their countries that are doing this are doing so as refugees, which means technically under, I think, the Geneva Convention or some laws that we have, we're supposed to accept them as asylum seekers. And I do think that genuinely in a lot of these situations, it is true these people are seeking asylum. But yeah, so I think I want to just like preface this whole thing I do because I'm going to show some videos I found and maybe find some new ones too. I just want to preface it with I don't claim to have the answers on this problem. That's a really complicated issue, and I don't know what the fix to the problem is. So that's the first thing I want to say is I'm not doing this video as a way where it's like, hey, I have all the solutions and I know how to solve the problem that is immigration, the global problem. I'm not doing this video for that reason. I'm doing it because I believe that through the Montauk Project and through what I've experienced as a time traveler, working in time travel warfare, and understanding more and more in this current incarnation about how psychological operations work and how psychological manipulation works and like sort of the divide and conquer kind of tactics. That's kind of what I'm seeing play out here. And one of the reasons that I felt inspired to make this video is because in the past I had mentioned this in a video where I just kind of went on a rant about a lot of things that I thought were wrong in this community. And one of them was like how a lot of people in the truther community are like anti-immigration, or anti-illegal immigration. I think it'd be very broad saying anti-immigration because they would all probably say the same thing. We're anti-illegal immigration, not immigration. And I just think that it's been used as a tool, clearly, as a problem, reaction, solution tool is really what I'm trying to get at here. And I feel like I maybe was insensitive in that video, not highlighting the fact that there actually is a really hard, like a deep issue here and a problem. I just wanted to, and I wanted, unfortunately, in my mind when I had the idea to make this, I had some stuff prepared by this guy who he's a YouTuber and he's from the UK and he was not really like a journalist per se or political or anything like that, but he saw what was going on in his country in the United Kingdom, right? Because he was a British guy, and with these protests, and he saw how on the mainstream media they're calling them all terrorists and white supremacists and this and that. And so I really wish I could find this guy and show you the footage he had because it was really great. Because he kind of went in there and his whole mentality and the whole reason he wasn't a journalist, he decided to become one because he thought that he saw his neighbors and people that he knew who really cared about the United Kingdom, cared about their country, who were actually just genuinely worried about what is going on in their nation, the problems that are having with this immigration crisis that they are having, which it is a crisis. So this guy, and it's weird, his YouTube's just gone. Like I looked for it for like an hour today, and I have history, so it should be there. It's not. I don't know if it's a Mandela effect or he deleted his YouTube or what. Probably deleted his YouTube because, like I said, he wasn't political, and maybe like then he got caught into the political sphere, and he's like, "Oh man, what have I done?" And he deleted his YouTube. That's my guess, actually. That's probably what happened. And I don't even think it's like some conspiracy or something either. I think that's probably what happened. Is the guy genuinely did not seem political, seemed like he was worried about his country, seemed like what you could call a patriot. You know what I mean in the English sense. I don't know if there's another term for it, loyalist, I guess. I don't know, but he just seemed like he cared about his country. And so he went around and he was documenting it. And I wish, like I said, I wish I could actually show you. I'm going to show you some actual footage and some videos that I found. But what I found with this guy is he went out there and he was finding people that, much like himself, were concerned about their country, concerned about safety, concerned about there's just like floods of immigrants coming to their country. And then they have nowhere to go. And then there are crimes happening because when you have people that don't have anywhere to go and don't have anywhere to live and they don't have any money, they tend to have to commit crimes to be able to survive. That's just reality. And it doesn't have anything to do with skin color or religion. It's really a situational thing. The poor are more likely to commit crimes like that because they don't have resources. That's just the reality of the world. It's not, for better or for worse, it is what it is. And so what we are seeing is there are crimes happening. There are problems occurring. And so this guy went out there, and at first he was very positive, this individual. I wish I had his name. Like, I didn't remember it. I don't remember it, but he had a YouTube, and like I said, he's just documenting it, like just as a guy in the streets, just concerned about his country, just going there basically like, I think there were live streams, so he was like live streaming it and just being like, this is what's going on, guys, and like talking to people and asking questions with a little tiny microphone, like how all the influencers do now, their little tiny microphone, and they interview people back and forth and stuff. And yeah, like I said, the sentiment of a lot of people is just like they're worried about their country and stuff. But then what you saw is you saw it devolve into chaos. You saw it devolve into like people just smashing windows, stealing, looting. And so this is where I want to like point something out because I think this is really important because I saw a lot of parallels here. So what you have here in England, right, with what's going on with these UK riots, which are happening. This is about 3 weeks ago, a lot of these videos that I was watching, and I'm a little late to the party, but I figured, I thought about it, I brewed on it enough to finally want to say something about it. And yeah, this has been going on for a while, so, but I forget what I was going to say. Basically, yeah, this guy that went in there is a genuine concerned loyalist, patriot, whatever you want to call it, cares about his country. He saw it devolve into chaos. And, oh, yeah, it was very comparable to what you would see with Black Lives Matter protests. And for me, I think that, like, we have a situation in our country where there is a police brutality problem. I think that sometimes people might be targeted because of their race, and I'm not going to ignore that. But it does need to be recognized that it isn't only happening to minorities. It happens to white people, too. We just happen to be privileged. You know what I mean? Like, we are less likely to be targeted by police because there's just stereotypes are real. We can try to avoid them. We can try to act like they aren't, but they are. And so there are issues when it comes to race with the police brutality. And I don't know how manufactured it is when all of a sudden we care about it and then we don't. It's really weird because it's happening all the time, and I've seen this for years and years. And I've always been an advocate of cop watching and stuff like that because of stuff that the police have done to my family. They used to follow us around and harass us. So that's one of the reasons why I feel that way about it. Am I talking about Tommy Robinson? No. This guy was mentioned. Like a lot of these people, this guy, in fact, I'm going to go into it for the first time. I'm going to look him up to see what I find on him. Because I know people are talking about this Tommy Robinson guy, which apparently is some far-right figure, which I don't know if that's like the media portraying him as that and it's a lie, or if he actually is. From what I'm seeing, he is. I don't know. But, yeah, what I'm getting at here, though, is people get genuine concerns about their country, about their nation, problems, right? And they go out and they say, this is messed up, and they protest. And that's fine, and that's all good. And people probably should do that, right? Like, you know what I mean? That's kind of like, as an American, I'm from the United States. You all know that, right? We believe that you should always stand up for what you believe in. We have the right to protest. We have the right to try to change things through protest. Look at the civil rights movement, things like that. And the problem that you're seeing, and I just want to compare this because what's going on in England, I'd say they call it right, far right, and then what you saw with Black Lives Matter, they call it far left, and you see the same thing happening. Genuine concerns being buried under people breaking windows and starting fires and looting businesses and stuff like that. All the genuine worry, all the genuine concern, all the genuine talking points and concerns that people have get buried underneath these agitators. That's what they are. That come in and they loot and they burn shit and they break shit and they just cause problems and they just feed into the chaos. They feed into the fact that people are angry, concerned, whatever. And so people are genuinely worried right now. In the UK, is from what I can tell, from what I've seen, there's a genuine concern. There's a genuine problem, and I also, and then I'm going to get into some videos in a second because I know it's probably boring to just hear me talk, but I also see it from the other side too, where I've seen videos, and I don't know if I can find the one that I found, but it's like these I can't remember what country they're from. Maybe it was Somalia or something like that. It kind of doesn't matter. But it was this family of 5, and this woman's getting on a boat, and they're in the water, and some Coast Guard of some sort found these people and rescued them. And this woman was just crying, and she's like, "We're treated like animals in our homeland, so we run away because we're not safe there. And then when we get to Greece, we're treated like animals, and they like, make us turn around and throw us in the water." So like they literally got thrown in the water, and this woman's just like crying, and these people are like lost everything, and like they're not just like they're what you have is like, and also with these crimes that are being occurred sometimes by immigrants, is you have the genuine people who are seriously the refugees, and we need to have hold them in our hearts and remember what they're going through. They're bearing that underneath that. And I want people to understand. What I want people to understand is they're trying to divide and conquer with this issue. It's okay to be an advocate for immigrants and refugees and want to help them. That's pretty awesome, actually. It's also totally okay to be worried about your country and worried about the fact that you don't have the housing, the resources. What are you going to do? These people, and then the fact that in one of these videos with this guy, God, I wish I could remember his name, but so you could at least find him or something. Maybe his Instagram's still up, but one of them, he went in and he just talked to some of these guys, and it was like a family, and they just asked him like, "How'd you get here?" And they're from Romania, and they said, "We got bussed in here." And they're like, "Well, how did he was like, how'd it happen?" They're like, "These people asked like, hey, do you want to get bussed into the UK?" Like literally, it was like some sort of government program where they just bust these people in. And so then they got there, and now they're just living in tents on the street. How does it make any sense? Like, that to me is manufactured chaos. Like they want to give you something to. It is a problem. You can't just do that. You have to have, if you're going to bring people to your country, you need to have resources for them. You can't just plop them on the streets. I'm like, all right, bye. Welcome to the United Kingdom. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, and the fact that people are concerned about it and then they're being gaslit by their own government, that's fucked up. While at the same time, the people who are concerned about, like, okay, so 2 mosques got burned down, maybe more now. That was like pretty early into it. That's not okay either, right? There are, what would you call them, white supremacists, Nazis. They are being emboldened by this situation, right? They are. Let's be real. They are 100%. They're emboldened by it. They're organizing more. It's being used as an excuse for them to gather power, to be like, hey, we were right the whole time. And that's kind of scary. But you can't let that bury the fact that there are people who are genuinely concerned and call all those people white supremacists too, right? You know what I mean? Like, the people are genuinely, like, they might have Muslim neighbors and friends and people they go out, colleagues at work and stuff like that, and they're friends with them, and they're glad they're in the UK. They're glad that they're, that the UK isn't all just British culture, which frankly would be extremely boring. Let's be honest, right? A lot of English people say the same thing. We're glad we're a multicultural nation, but like they're just bringing boats full of people here. It's kind of crazy, right? So let's look at some coverage of this actually, because I'm not a journalist, and I just felt the need to do this because I felt the need to kind of fess up and be like, look, there is a problem, but also like on a new Earth, are there really like borders? Like if we want to create a new Earth and be part of the global network and be part of the galactic family, like how the hell can we stop borders on our planet, right? And like what does that look like? How do we change into that? And a lot of people think it's like, okay, well that's the new world order, and they use terms like globalist, which what does that even mean? We live on a planet, like we are global, we're a global species, we probably should kind of, you know what I mean? Like I understand, like I don't know, like what does that even actually mean, right? Like globalist, like we live on the earth, we should be thinking about things that on that level. How can we think about things galactically if we thinking about them globally is a boogeyman? You know what I mean? Like, and I understand concerns that people have with corporations becoming global and then controlling the global economy through that. That's a huge concern. But how do we, yeah, like, right. Like that to me would be corporations, right? Who are taking over, monopolizing. To me, that's what that would mean. So, and that's not so what do we have here with this issue is like, I think a divide and conquer thing is what I think it is. It's because it's like the reality is it's ironic that the United Kingdom, look, you know, the sun never sets on the English Empire. I think there's like literally over 200 countries, maybe over 300 countries that one of their national holidays is celebrating their independence from Britain, and now they're complaining about immigrants. There's a kind of an irony to that. I just want to point that out. There's a little bit of an irony to that, but I'm then the people that are there now though they weren't a part of that. They're just living in the we have to move on from that and figure out a future together. That's where I'm at. That's what we have to figure out. But let's watch this video, okay? And I kind of like this guy. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but this is Channel 5 News with Andrew Callahan. I thought the other guy was maybe a little bit better of an example because he literally was just like fresh to the scene. He wasn't even really a journalist. He's just some guy from England. And I thought that was pretty cool, but I thought this was pretty good coverage as well.
It's an act of violence that shattered the peace of the summer holidays in a seaside town.
3 girls were killed.
BB King, Elsie Dot Stankham, and Elise Agia.
However,
Can you guys see the video? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so yeah, I think that's a good point from that guy. Can you guys see the video, or like, what does it look like? It looks weird to me from my end. We can, but no sound. Okay, so the whole thing is supposed to be with StreamYard that if you use it in Google Chrome, then you can hear the sound, but you guys can't hear the sound. Stop sharing. You can, but no sound. So basically what that guy was saying in the video, he's like, hey, because he was a foreign, well, not a foreign guy. He was somebody who is not like a white English person living in England, right? And he was saying a lot of this is being used as an excuse for violence. Like, you don't see us being violent. I don't know. That's what he was saying. But it sounds like you guys can't hear it. So what's the point in having that feature then if you can't hear the sound? Like, I don't get it. Like, you can't hear it at all? Let me try it one more time. And if you can't hear it, then I'm just going to end the stream and say sorry. You have to learn through doing. But I like, then I don't know what to do. I'm not going to sit here and troubleshoot it for the whole stream. I'm just going to have to end it. So let's try this one more time.
A black Christian man born in...
Let's see here. Present, share screen, select screen. Okay. Now let me know. If you
in Wales killed them girls.
Axel Rudakabana is 17, British, born in Wales and of Rwandan heritage.
But who they're directing their anger at? They're directing it at Muslims only. Why? Why? Because their agenda is anti-Islam, straight up. This is our fucking country, not fucking theirs.
So can you hear it now? Let me know in the comments. Can you like hear it? Okay, you can hear it now. Okay, so apparently I have to use the speakers, which I think is stupid. Your sound is probably not very good on your end, but at least you can hear it. At least you can keep going. Okay, so I'm gonna address the comments in a second, but I just literally not be like, I have to keep going. Like, I can't stop and address the comments every time, but I will go back in a little bit and I'll address some of the comments. Okay, but for now I want to present this. So just a second, we're gonna keep going with this video.
I'm here to save the kids. The children have been murdered. There's been a massacre on the street.
They got the tiger and little white girls all over the country. Let's call a spade a fucking spade.
It's like Russian roulette at this point. Which one's going to be next? No one questioned why BLM went out. No one questions why Palestine went out.
So I think that's a good point. And she's saying, like, when people get angry, they go out and they fuck shit up. Now, does that make it okay though? I don't think so. I don't know. Like, especially if you're targeting groups of people. Like, if you're literally burning down mosques and targeting a group of people and scaring them, I don't think that's a good thing. But anyway.
We're saving the kids. We're stopping the boats. We're closing the borders. Look how mad we've all gone. This is real women.
Yeah, so these people are pissed, man. Like, this isn't, they're not like, this isn't, I don't know, man. Like, they're genuinely pissed off.
This is lionesses. This is the Lion Road.
No other way of
I'm not
saying it.
racist and I don't give a fuck what you say.
Then who's trying to kill our kids?
Policies that politicians put in place, yeah?
Stop that boat! Stop that boat! Stop that boat! Stop that boat!
They're calling us far right. We're not far right. We're all fathers and parents of children. There's immigrants that are coming in without paperwork. We're lying about their ages. We don't know nothing about the backgrounds, and that's what it's about.
We don't want to be branded far right. You know, we're here for the right reasons. I want my kids to know I didn't stay silent. Leave our kids alone.
It's about children that have lost their lives in this city, and we're passionate about that up here.
We're not racist. We've got Muslims.
So something that's really important to bring up for this video is there's some little girls that were killed, and it was a 17-year-old kid from a Somalian family. People thought he was immigrant. Turns out he is, but he was born in the UK. But still, that's what sparked this. And there's been a lot of other stuff going on, stabbings, things like that. There was a stabbing at a concert in Germany recently, and it actually was claimed by like a Muslim terrorist group. So, you know, there's clearly a thing going on here where there's extremist ideologies being thrown around all over the place. And then you have people who just want to live in peace caught in the crossfire. It's really what it seems like to me.
Muslim friends. Our country has benefited from migration. However, it's just getting overwhelming. We're a very small island. It's become a security risk.
Religion means fuck all, lads. I'm not arsed. This is about people coming in. They could be Christians from Somalia, wherever, and the fucking wrong-uns. That's what it is. We're letting wrong-uns in. This is not religious. That's bollocks. Fucking bollocks. This is about the wrong-uns they're letting in. You can be a Christian, you can be whatever. You're coming in, you've got no intention of fucking helping the country. You're here to cause trouble. You're here to take and thieve and steal. You're here to stay for nothing. So, unfortunately, that's a no-no.
There's 50,000 people here on an MI6 list, isn't there? Start with them, get rid of them, get rid of the people who are killing kids, raping kids, get rid of them.
Stop the boats, kick them out. There's too many of you here. You don't respect our country, you don't respect our religion. All you think about is Aisha, because she was 9 years old. That's what you're all into. Paedophilia.
Listen.
So, yeah, like, I understand people are concerned, but I really don't like people like that. Like, they're just like all pedophiles. Like, what? Like, obviously, some people are just have hateful ideology, get to come out and just feel like normalized to just be pieces of shit because of this, right? Like, that's the thing that's happening. That doesn't mean that there aren't people who are also just genuinely like, hey, we can't have boats and boats of immigrants coming here because, like, we don't have enough apartment complexes. We don't have enough hotels. We don't have enough housing. And, like, it's causing a homelessness crisis. Like, there's those people genuinely have a right to be worried, and they can't. It's not right to have them buried underneath the people who are being pricks, like this guy who's like, they're pedophiles, you know, like, that's not right. Like, I think it's really important for people to differentiate that people have a right to be concerned, but also to spot out the people who are using it to embolden hateful ideologies as well. Like, you know, these nuance, these can be, yeah, I think it's allowed to grow as a divide and conquer tactic, and that's what I want to get into. Is a lot of these, a lot of these situations are, they're manufactured. I mean, when you have countries being destabilized, you're bombing these countries. That's a lot of these nations. That's where these people are coming from. And then you have the government literally then going to those nations that get destabilized and like being like, hey, come to our country. There's something weird going on. There's a psyop going on. That's what I think. There's a psychological population where they're trying to divide people. And they're trying to just weaken people's just unity, weaken people being on the same page. And it's working, unfortunately. And I don't have the answers how to make it not work, but it is. Let's look at it. It's working. It's working. Like, and then I've seen with some of these videos, like, it shows it pretty well. Like, you got people breaking windows, starting stuff on fire, messing up their cities, and then you have the people that are there. They're like, people that are from there, like, it's always people that aren't from the place doing it, right? Those are always the people screwing up, like, burning down buildings and stuff like that. It's always the people who aren't even from the place who go there just to thrive off the chaos. Yeah, the ignorant are joining the actually concerned. And if you can't recognize that, like, I think that it's really irresponsible that, like, mainstream media never reports on that. They never point that out. You know what I mean? Like, they're all, I don't know. But so I want to look at some of the comments real quick, and then I'll go back to the video. This sounds a little bit ridiculous to me, to be honest with you. But also, I should look into it. Maybe I'll Google it in a second here. Well, I could Google it right now, I guess. It's probably not true, though. I don't think it's true. I'm going to use my discernment here and say it's not true. But who knows? Crazier shit's happened. Oh, wow. Okay. I would have to watch this. That's fucking crazy.
A Venezuelan gang has taken over in Aurora, Colorado.
I don't know. This isn't a different video here. I should be looking it up in Google so you can see it. Well, let's come back to that in a second because we're still on this video. I'm gonna just YouTube. I'm gonna bring it up in another video and we'll continue with this one. Venezuelan, Colorado. So yeah, it could happen, man. These drug cartels and stuff like that, they're pretty wild. I think it is possible. You know, there's manufactured stories, so that was my gut reaction, but it could happen. You know, but let's look into this first, though.
There's a message for George Soros, yeah? Britain will never fall. We don't care how many globalists, yeah? George Soros, yeah? You globalist scumbags, yeah? Import as many of them as you want, yeah? Guess what? Christ will prevail, yeah.
This world is so corrupt. Labour's supposed to love the
So
Northwest.
another thing too is I think it's like it is a religious thing. You got Christian people like talking about their Christian nation, and then you have a lot of these people are being shuttled in or from Islamic nations. So a lot of tension there, which is frankly ancient. I mean, there's been wars fought between the Muslims and the Christians for a really long time, and it's always wonderful to see them living together peacefully, which is possible. I see that here in the city that I live in Portland, and we see it all over the United States and all over the world. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. But let's look at.
Supposed to be for the working class. They've stabbed the real people who has got real concerns. They've stabbed a lot of us in the back, and we're supposed to stand here and let everybody call us right wing and Nazis. I've got Asians in my family. I ain't racist one bit. What I am is scared of this government.
We've now got two-tier Kia coming on the news and having the audacity to call the general public far right.
I utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this week.
And this was how I found out about this, of course, because the mainstream media just gets around so much more. This came up on YouTube, and I was like, what's going on? So this is how I found out about it, was this guy talking about it.
Weekend.
I've seen all this coming. No one wanted it. We tried to warn about it, and I'm still going to try and warn about it. I don't want to fight anybody. We don't want wars with Muslims. I don't think it's a good idea attacking mosques at all. I'm not a conservative either. I'm not an anarchist. I want a decent party that cares about the people. That's all we want. Every person, doesn't matter where you're from.
Seems like a decent guy to me. I mean, that's reasonable.
Okay, so if Tories weren't the answer, Labour wasn't the answer, who is?
I'm not a politician, and I'm thick as pig shit, but I can talk to people. I've never been to school. I can only write my own name, but I've got an heart as big as a lion, and I'll stand there against anybody for the sake of our country. People need to wake up against Labour. These are the rats. We're not racist. We're scared.
Everybody out there is not acting, and it's not on this street now. Get out there and act. Don't call yourself a man unless you're out here. Don't call yourself a man. Simple as that. You don't fight for your country. You don't push back the invaders. You're not a man. If we don't fight now, it's going to come to our kids having to fight, and they're not going to win it. They're not going to win the fight. So I don't want the violence. We've got to try and do it peacefully. But this has to be the final straw where there's a clear message sent to those in charge that you either step up or you step aside now. I was in Southport on Tuesday.
Police tried to keep apart a group of far-right protesters in a much larger anti-fascist counter-protest.
The media absolutely corrupt. They lied. There wasn't a single member of the EDL there. There weren't a member of the far right there. There was little girls, older women. There was older men. There was young men, middle-aged men, outraged at what the government's allowing to happen to us. What the government's allowing this cancer to do to us, this cancer that's grown within our nation. We need to stop it.
My children are abused by social services, and Merseyside police have covered it up. They've got a hidden grooming gang that won't be released to the public. Defund the baby.
Wow. So that snuck by me the first time I watched this. This lady is talking about how their government abuses kids.
Government's allowing to happen to us.
She just got
what
snuck
the government's
in there.
allowing this cancer to do to us, this cancer that's grown.
In the United States.
Defund the BBC. The media are the lies. The media is the.
And I believe that, that's a thing that happens, in the United States too, where the social services, that come and take the kids. Those people, they're doing shady stuff, guys. I can't say the exact terminology because of YouTube censorship, but yeah, a lot of those organizations, for example. Personal situation here where my niece would hang out with this little girl around the same age as her, and her mother would take advice from this little girl's mom, and then it turns out her because she worked for Child Protective Services, well, it turns out she was going to traffic her daughter. She was in the process of trying to do that with some guy from Texas, and she got caught before it happened. And that's happening. And that woman just super random, not related to this, but they snuck it in. They snuck it in there briefly, and not to laugh about it, but it's an important issue. So that woman had the mic for a second, and that's what she wanted to talk about. Bless her heart. That is an important issue, and it looks like it's a global issue. It's not just here in the United States.
The virus.
Much like at protests in the United States, a line of riot police who sustained minor injuries throughout the course of the day had formed a sort of demilitarized zone between nationalist Stop the Boats protesters and an equally sized counter-protest of mostly left-leaning Liverpool locals who showed up in person to confront a mob of who they believed to be far-right racist protesters.
They're all inbred. Yeah, they need a dentist.
They're not interested in like children that were killed in Southport. They just want to cause a fight. We're a multicultural city, a city of sanctuary, and I hope they get lost.
What do you think the solution is?
Throw them all into the sea. That's what the chant says.
Solution is, well, to get rid of capitalism and have a social society, and then these people would be catered for, not blaming it on fucking immigrants and refugees and what have you. They've obviously got issues because they've been let down. No dentists, no doctors, no housing. Right, that's not immigrants or refugees' fault. That's the fault of this fucking government.
Despite this frontline tension,
So I agree with that guy 100%. Like, this is an issue where it's like, okay, let's fight the immigrants, the refugees, and each other, instead of lifting up the working class, figuring out like how to like have like the middle class and like the average person have enough money to be able to thrive again. All that stuff, it's really important. But then you have stuff like this going on where now this is the focus of all the attention in the UK. This is the only issue they can really focus on right now, is this immigration issue, because it is a problem. And I agree, or 100% agree with this guy, where if us Western countries like the UK, United States, stuff like that, weren't destabilizing these countries in the first place, bombing them to hell and back, and even with a lot of these South American countries, you know, the drug cartels. I mean, the CIA funded the Contras and used the crack epidemic to fund, you know, like what they were doing. Like the CIA is, and the United States government is directly involved in a lot of this destabilization of a lot of these countries that are both going to the United States and the UK. So because there's another thing I should look up in a little bit here too, is apparently this is coming to New York City as well. So there's just a lot of refugees leaving countries because they're destabilized. And I know this might seem like cockamamie and like really far out there and silly and not practical, and maybe right now on an instant level, because it's not an instant fix, but on a grandiose level, like, and also kind of on a basic level, like, we need to make sure that there aren't any destabilized countries. Like, we should try to strive for a planet where everybody in every country has their resources met, and we're not bombing each other anymore, and there aren't drug cartels thriving anywhere, etc., etc. How do we get to that point? I don't know, and it's probably going to take decades, if not hundreds of years, to get to that point. But it's still that to me would be the solution. Is you won't have an immigration problem or a refugee problem if there aren't destabilized nations where they don't have enough resources to survive or whatever to begin with. And also, I would say too, you got to recognize with this issue that the vast majority of immigrants and refugees, and this is a fact, there are people that just want to live a better life. They want to leave where they're at because it's not healthy or safe for them, and they want a better life. And it is very unfortunate that there are people who commit violent crimes and do screwed up things that ruin it for everybody and make people live in fear of immigrants, because those people don't deserve to live in fear. And refugees who are coming to our shores with nothing, cold and scared, basically, they don't deserve to be treated like they're murderous criminals if they're not, which is happening because of some of these attacks we're seeing and some of these terrorist events and stuff like that. They're all getting painted with the same brush. And I don't know what the solution is. I do know, like I keep on saying, like I'm not really here to say the solution. I'm here to say I see a PSYOP. I know a PSYOP when I see one. I know that this is manufactured, that this is all intentional. It's like, ooh, oops, there's all these immigrants showing up, and where they live is messed up, so they're coming here now. Oops, it's all accidental. All I'm saying is I really don't think it is. And you need to remember that these refugees that this is happening to are human beings. You know, they're human beings. Like, and I'm sorry I'm not looking at the comments yet because every time I do, the screen goes away. But I'll look again in a second. Let's just continue this video for a little bit.
It appeared that the vast majority of counter-protesters weren't actually interested in having a direct confrontation with English nationalists, and instead had organized their own rally at nearby St. George's Hall in support of migrants and refugees.
Refugees are welcome here.
Oh, someone's just got married.
Oh.
See, this is Liverpool, and the far right's trying to threaten that.
A quick explanation, what happened in Southport?
Obviously, I mean, there was a horrible attack in which 3 children lost their lives. What happened since then was a massive lie about the identity of that attacker, which was, you know, led by the likes of Tommy Robinson.
After murdering and raping and pillaging 1,400 Jews, look how confident they've become across the entire West.
Of Lawrence.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is, but he doesn't give me a good vibe.
Fox, about the far right people online.
As an undocumented migrant.
Obviously, this guy's a piece of shit, and he's, you know, bragged about sexually assaulting women. Like, he's literally bragged about it, so I don't really listen to anything this guy says.
Decided to go into a Taylor Swift dance class today and stab 6.
And he trafficked women openly. Like, he openly brags about doing that to women. Like, he does not respect the divine feminine at all. This guy sucks.
Also, the likes of Nigel Farage is complicit.
We will only stop this if we start deporting people that come illegally.
This led people in Southport, you know, racist and far right people to feel emboldened to come out on the street and to an attack.
I think that's true. You can't deny it. Like, there are people who are worried about their country and are like genuinely concerned. But if the reaction is to smash car windows and burn stuff, how the hell can that be in the message about public? Like, if your message is we need better public safety, right? Our safety is compromised because of immigrants. That message can't ever be heard through compromising public safety. Does it? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any. It's counterproductive. It's like. It's like saying that you're against pistachio ice cream and selling pistachio ice cream. I don't know. It's just stupid. I can't think of a very good example, but it's just like, it's the antithesis. It's literally what you're saying is you're like, all this crime, all this bad stuff because of immigrants, and then you're just that crime and making your city unsafe. So no one's going to listen to that message. And I think that it's unfortunate because I think that there are people who definitely went out there and had no intention of burning anything or smashing any windows or anything. They just were upset and they wanted their voices to be heard. And now they're all just going to be buried under these hooligans who use as an opportunity to fuck shit up. And I think we saw the same thing happen with like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. There is a problem with police brutality in the United States. That is a fact. And people have a right to be concerned about it. But when you go out and just fuck shit up over it, you know, they say the riot is the language of the unheard, and I understand. Because when people are, like, it happens when people are upset. But a fact is, like, no matter how you look at it, the message will always get buried underneath the violence. If there's violence and crime, and it always gets buried underneath that. And that's why I do think we got to stand up for ourselves and defend ourselves and stuff like that. But I also think that, so like, you have to be ready to fight and, like, you know, like, defend yourselves, but also I don't think it's right to attack either, which is a very fine line. Like, where's defending yourself and being an attacker start and end? So, but yeah, so just, I don't know, but I'm going to look at the comments real quick. I'm going to go to the window because it's been a second and I feel like I deserve to give you guys the attention to see what you're all saying. Okay. I think a possible solution to immigration is to remove borders, but that's just my opinion. Oh, the video isn't visible from your end? No video, regards. Huh. I don't know what's going on anymore. There's 30 people watching this, and the video was working before, but now it's not? Yeah, there's provocateurs on both sides here. Okay, so I'm just going to remove. I don't know why the video is not working. It's always so frustrating just trying to use, like, every influencer YouTube person in the world does this. Why does it always screw up when I try to do this? Like, okay, so that's what I think. There's provocateurs on both sides. And what we saw with, like, for instance, when the George Floyd thing happened, and I lived in Wisconsin at the time. Or no, the thing in Kenosha. And one of my best friends lived in Kenosha at the time when it happened. And I went down there to just be with them because I was like, what are you doing? I called him. He's like, I'm sitting outside my house with a baseball bat, like ready to protect my house. It's like, holy shit, bro. I'm like, I'm going to come try to, like, just be there and, like, help you, you know? And so I got on the highway and I started heading down there to help. You can hear it, you can just not see it. Okay, but yeah, I went down there to just maybe help defend his house. Like, his family doesn't own a gun, I don't think. Which, you know, I don't know. Just the more the merrier when it comes to defending someone's home, right? Because what I saw on the way there was tons of people that had their license plates off their car are duct taped over. There were so many of them, the cops would have never been able to get them all. And so what you see is there's a bunch of people in the city of Kenosha, people who probably knew that guy, right, who got shot and stuff, who personally knew him and had every right to go out in the streets because they're mad. They probably had people, there's people all from all over the place showing up that they were there to fuck shit up, right? Like, and I didn't even feel comfortable going there anymore because it just gave me bad vibes. I actually turned around. I didn't go to Kenosha. But yeah, and there was people there that, you know, burned down buildings and smashed windows and screwed stuff up, and that happens when people get angry when one of these events happen and stuff like this happens. And people always say the same thing every time, like, the message got buried underneath the violence. Got buried underneath it. And I used to think, like, oh, that's what you need to do. You need to go, like, fuck shit up in order to be heard. And maybe there's some truth to that, but I don't know. Like, I just feel like people don't listen to you. And you like, they're like, okay, well, you're just acting out. Like, they don't listen. Like, so I don't know. Like, and yeah, again, I'm not saying, okay, yeah, this guy said, what? I think a possible immigration is to remove borders, but that's just my opinion. My hair is greasy. Help. Yeah, that's an amazing name. Who are you? I think that's valid, actually. How can we, like I said, be on the galactic stage if we have borders? And I don't know, like, what does that look like? How do we make a world without borders? I'm not sure. I don't claim to have all the answers, but also that does seem to kind of be like the answer to this, is to figure out how to all live underneath the same umbrella and live underneath a fair government. And I think a part of having a global government that works is recognizing that local economies have their own needs, and still having localized governments that are able to take care of themselves and make their own decisions. But when it comes to the decisions that they make that affect the rest of the world, then the rest of the world has a say. I feel like that makes sense, right? I'm not, I don't claim to be an ambassador like John Woodberg. He'd probably be better at explaining how to do things than me, maybe. I don't know. But oh yeah, here's another thing. Don't forget about the potato famine on Ireland. It was pre-planned by England. All this has been pre-planned. Yeah, that's the thing, a history that people don't know about a lot. The English are messed up. I mean, the English have went all over the world, stealing people's land and doing really messed up and enslaving people and stuff. And now they got an immigration problem. I said earlier, it's kind of ironic. I'm not saying it's cool. But yeah, let's see here. I'm looking at the comments. Until 1973, it was legal to buy a Native American child. Yeah, we have problems, dude. Like, white supremacy is a problem. It's a thing. Like, there are people out there who think that white people should be in charge of the earth, and that everybody else is. They might even think, oh, they're fine, but they're just not as good as white people. you got to remember those people are out there, like, not good. It's not good. I can't say that word, but those people are out there, and it's not good. They want to fill the planet with hate because it lowers the entire vibration of the planet. Yeah, I think so. 100%. I mean, look at those people in the streets yelling and screaming. It's sad to see, man. Like, they're angry, and maybe they have every right to be. On both sides. Like, Muslims, like, they're scared because people are burning down their churches, and then there's stabbings and stuff happening that sometimes are immigrants. Maybe I feel like that's a thing that's a problem in England. It's not always immigrants, and I feel like people are blaming it on immigrants maybe. But when people react to like 3 little girls being stabbed, I think that's reasonable, but I think it got blown out of proportion and used as almost like a clickbaity thing to stoke hatred. And I think that the only point that I can try to make with this issue is that it's nuanced, and that I don't claim to have all the answers with it. And when it comes to so there's another thing that this guy was talking about. Let's add this to stage and let's do this here. So apparently you can't see see the video. I'm sorry about that.
A mosque that had no connection to the identity of the attacker. I think it's also important to...
So they burned down some mosques. That's, imagine being somebody like I just did a video on Penny with about the Abrahamic faith, and so that's how I feel about it. Like, I'm not a fan of Christianity. I'm not a fan of Islam. I'm not really a fan of any of those religions, but I 100% would die for those people's right to protest, to be able to practice their religions, as long as they're not extremists and they respect my right to practice my religion. And that's kind of the golden rule of any multicultural colony working. So yeah, these people are scared. They have mosques being burned.
To say that even if...
And that not all these people, a lot of these people are just people with their families, people that are worshiping, they're there to worship God in their own way. It might not be the way you worship God, but that's their place of worshiping God. And to burn that's just a desecration to humanity and what we are and what we could be. It's just wrong.
Was a Muslim or a migrant, or the things that they were lying about, it still does not license the far right attacks on communities we've seen around Britain.
I agree. Like, not to just be a broken record, but if there are people who are concerned, that's being buried underneath these people doing really hateful things, like burning down mosques and stuff. Like, that's not okay. It can't be allowed to happen.
So people around the country today are actually protesting. I think, people here feel a part of something bigger. In Manchester, they got pushed back this morning. In Liverpool, we pushed them back outside the mosque last night. People who are here today are proud to stand in a multicultural Britain, and, the far right's trying to threaten that.
I don't think there is anything special about what's happening in the UK. I think it's a reflection of what's happening internationally, in that you've got a crisis of capitalism, living standards for, in society going downhill, just a general crisis of the system. Far-right groups, obviously what they do is they latch on to the deep anger that exists. They build in the most impoverished areas of the country, and they basically try and divert that anger away from class struggle against the bosses and against, first the Tories and now Labour. And they rile a lot of very young people up, young men up with very toxic ideas, and they send them out to go and attack migrant communities. That's a real threat we have to take seriously. And if the left doesn't have a convincing alternative that's based around mass struggle, that's based around fighting back in that kind of way, the far right seeps in. You've seen it in France. I think the end game of these far right groups is obviously to just create a society where there's mass expulsions of migrant workers. I mean,
we need to tell those people the alternative, Mark. We need to get truth through to them. And that's important. It's all right, Steve. We're suffering the rages of capitalism. We're suffering the rages of, Tony Blair didn't go and cause a fucking war in Iraq, or at least support that fucking...
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry to offend anybody or get political on my channel, but it is true. We're suffering the rages of capitalism. There are more billionaires now, and all the wealth is being transferred to a smaller and smaller percent, and the average person is getting poorer and poorer, and that's because of capitalism. Whether you're for it or not, you know, it needs to be regulated at the very least. Like, it's a problem, what we're seeing.
War. If we weren't selling bombs to everyone across the planet.
Because what you're seeing right now with inflation, these corporations are making record profits. And then you have no one stepping in and stopping them and being like, wait, families need to be able to afford groceries. That's more important than your profits. No one's doing that. We don't have that kind of setup on our planet right now. The people aren't protected. Corporations are. And that is a problem. And if we need to recognize that, and I know a lot of people don't like to talk about that. They say that's to recognize that if you do, you're a socialist or a communist. But the reality is that we have a huge problem where wealth and capital is not being equally distributed, and the middle class is getting weaker, it's getting smaller, and it's getting poorer, and then you have these giant corporations making just giant swaths of money. And like, it's crazy to not address that. It's absolutely insane to not address that.
Those people wouldn't be being bombed out their homes and having their land just stolen from them because of oil, because of agriculture, because of water.
We're kind of beating a dead horse now. I feel like we made the point. Let's go a little further now to some of these people. Looks like they're in the Muslim community that are directly affected by this. Let's see what their opinion is.
In front of the mosque is where guest reporter Sanjay spoke to those youths at the beginning of the video, but there were also many other older community members who showed up to express support and solidarity.
We cannot tolerate racism in this country. We are totally against EDL in their principles, in their foundations. They don't want any Muslims to be in this country. This country needs us. There's no these people being here. The police.
Relax. It makes me feel angry. I get frustrated. Yes. But because I am Muslim, I have to be calm about this. You know, I have to be calm. Allahu Akbar. Takbir. Yeah, man. The soldiers, the lions of...
One thing I'm seeing, too, is, like, the brotherhood. Like, come on, man. These guys are just people. They're just humans. Like, God, this whole situation just makes me so fucking sad. Genuinely does, man. Because, like, that's brotherhood. Look at that. Look at them laughing together. Look at them. And then they're just talking about, we need to stand up for ourselves. And they feel proud of themselves for doing it. They're the right to. They need to defend their mosque. They need to defend their cultural identity. I don't know.
Allah are all out today. Bring the EDL. We've come to stand up against these EDL fascists that have come to our town and that are telling us that how their town's meant to be run when most of them are junkies, smackheads, crackheads, and they're not contributing to this community or this society. How are the government letting people like this come here and cause a disturbance? We've got to stand up to them. We've got to show them that we're not scared of them. We ain't backing down from no one.
It's fucking the low scum.
And then you've got officers like this here swearing at us, calling us fucking fannies and this and that, where he thinks he's bad with a bat in his hand. Put everything down, man to man. Arrest me after that, no problem.
Our minorities are looking after the country, and this is how we get treated. We don't deserve to get treated like fucking shit. Yo, we're fucking equal to everyone over here.
Why do you think race matters to them?
I don't know. They've got nothing better to do. They've no logic.
They're brainwashed. That's what it is. They're brainwashed. They don't know what's going on. They've got one leader called Tommy Robinson that they all go off.
I really gotta look into this Tommy Robinson guy.
The idiots have been rioting. They don't know Tommy Robinson has fled the country. So you're all out for the cause here.
Don't even know who this guy is, but I'm looking him up like right after this.
And the leader isn't even in the country. He can't live in his own country that he loves so much.
So is violence the answer?
Violence isn't the answer. Love's the answer.
Violence is not the answer. But our religion tells us
I agree with that. Violence is not the answer. Love is the answer. I agree with that more and more every day. It gets more and more true. There was a time in my life where that kind of shit sounded kind of silly to me, I'll be honest with you. But the older I get, the more and more I realize that that's actually extremely wise.
Stand up against kuffars that are not merciful, that are zalims, that are kuffars, and that's why we've come here together to stand together.
There's people like Jews that stand with us. There's Christianities that stand with us. There's Hindus that stand with us. Pan the camera, you can see thousands of us are here. We are protecting the mosques that happen in Stoke.
in Sunderland, in Liverpool, in many other towns. But we're standing as one because we want what's right. We want peace. We are fighting for what's right.
Stay united, come together, protect your mosque, protect your families. If they are coming down to hunt you, to kill you, to trouble you, please do a self-defense. Defend yourself and defend your ideology and restrict them in your cities, in your towns. If you don't do that one, they will come to your house and they will chase you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot, man. It's like people are on both sides very worked up and worried, and just yeah, it's just yeah. I like this. This is a good. Rocky Mountain Skywatcher says, "Till humans are treated with respect and true equality, no one is better than anybody else." Yeah, I sense this. You know, there's a great amount of wealth on the earth that actually belongs to everybody on it. Really, because the earth we're all part of it is organism, and a redistribution of the wealth and all of that is necessary in order to create balance. I 100% agree with this, and I highly recommend that people watch my video with Penny Bradley that I just did if they want to know my opinion on the Abrahamic faiths and just religion in general. Like I said, I mean, I literally like believe in everybody's right to practice their religion like super hardcore. Like it's super duper important to me that people have the right to practice their own religion. But at the same time, I kind of think that those religions are mind control. I do think that. But I mean, I understand that people are going to worship God in their own ways, and it's seriously like a huge insult and a desecration to not respect people worshiping God in their own ways, even if you disagree with how they do it. So, I don't know, but yeah, religion can be really dangerous, honestly. Like, look, this has been going on for hundreds of years, thousands of years. Islam and Christianity clashing, these ideologies clashing. Again, we see it all over the world where Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus are able to live among each other peacefully. So they had to create an immigration crisis to stir up this old trauma. That's really what it seems like to me. They're stirring up old trauma that was starting to heal, old wounds that were starting to heal. That's what we're seeing with Palestine right now, and the deletion of Gaza and the genocide of Gaza. And that's what we're seeing with this immigration crisis, is we're seeing what is thousands-year-old religious war, which has been, I mean, I'm sure it's not perfect. I'm sure there's always problems. But overall, the amount of peace that we've had in this day and age has been pretty astounding. And now we have this immigration issue opening up that wound again, and we have Christians and Muslims pointing fingers at each other and stuff. And yeah, I just keep on saying the same thing, not to be a broken record, but I really just think it's divide and conquer. Now let's look at this. Somebody brought up something to me at stage. Something brought this up to me, and that was this right here.
Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with InvestorMore, and today I'm talking about a crazy situation in Aurora, Colorado, where an apartment building was forced to be evicted with 6 days' notice by the city of Aurora. 90 apartments were forced to leave in 6 days. Aurora didn't really have a place for them to go. Didn't say it was their problem, but they did end up helping in the end. But that's not the crazy part of this story. The crazy part of this story is there's a lot of rumors about Venezuelan gangs taking over this apartment complex. He said tenants described to him gang members breaking into vacant apartments, patrolling with assault rifles, and threatening them to pay rent to the gang members, not the owner. And if you listen to the news and watch the news and listen to the city of Aurora, they say that's not true. There's no proof. There's no evidence of that happening. But the more you dig into this and the more you look into it, there's a lot of proof and evidence that actually might be happening. And I found an interview with the owner of these properties, and we've got some video from police and other council members from Aurora saying they think it's 100% true. So the reason I'm talking about this is because I'm a landlord. I have properties. I'm in Colorado, just 50 miles away from this area where this happened, and we've dealt with evictions and different issues before. But this
one thing I'm going to say about this just at the beginning, I don't think I'm going to watch this whole thing. It's like 30 minutes long, but I think that renting causes a lot of problems. And clearly this problem began when they tried to evict everybody in 6 days. I mean, what was going on there? Why did they do that? Why? That's not right. Those people are all what, homeless? Because you can't find somewhere to live in 6 days. Anybody with a brain knows that. So I think it highlights an issue with housing in our country. Like, that should be illegal. You should not be allowed to be able to do that. And then, yeah, I believe that this is possible, and I believe that this again is, you know, connected to like the drug cartels and how dangerous they are and how powerful they are. And that's actually why a lot of these immigrants here in the United States, particularly, if you watch interviews with a lot of people who've crossed the border, that's the reason why they're coming over here, is because the drug cartels are so bad. And I have a friend who I sort of grew up with. His name's Bernardo, and he told me that, like, yeah, like his mom used to have to give the cartels like a stipend every month, or they would induct him into the cartels. And for his family, it was imperative for the health and well-being of their family that they moved over here. And even though he's been here most of his life, every 4 years or something like that, he has to reinstate his citizenship, which is super stressful for him, because they could technically just be like, all right, you're not an American citizen anymore, like out of nowhere, which is screwed up. So when people say, hey, you got to come over here legally, it's also important. You guys got to recognize how screwy it is. I mean, I have a friend who he's been here for his whole life, and they're still dicking him around on citizenship. So maybe that's part of the problem. If it was an easier process for people, or at least people who've been living here their whole lives. I mean, it's one thing if you're not established here and you just showed up, but his family is established, and he still kind of has to prove his worth here in the United States, which I don't know. I just think that's screwy. But anyway.
This is crazy and just wacky what the city is doing, or possibly what the owner did. Who knows who's right in this, but we'll try and sift through it and let you decide what really happened here. All right, so I actually made this video, was uploading it, and I found more crazy information. So I basically found the reports.
Honestly, this isn't anything new either, though. Like, gangs control neighborhoods in the United States all over the place. But since it's Venezuelans, now it's becoming part of this immigration issue. It's being correlated, which it is, because they're from somewhere else. But I just want to point out that gangs taking over neighborhoods is a problem all over the place, and it's immigrants might do it, but sometimes it's localized, like Gangster Disciple, Black Disciples, MS-13. There are neighborhoods that are literally owned by those gangs here in the United States, in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, all sorts of other places. So this is a crazy story, but it's unfortunately kind of not anything new. Like gangs take over neighborhoods, take over apartment complexes. That's not anything new, but also it's absolutely insane, especially how it all happened. And yeah, that would go to like the whole thing where, like, I know Daryl James talks about how, like, that guy from the future says they literally, like, they start breaking into our homes and taking our homes and stuff. And I don't know if it ever does get to that point. That sounds a little bit like, because that guy comes from a wild timeline where, like, they all, like, are super, like, inbred because of their strange ideas on eugenics and race and stuff like that, from what it sounds like. But if that happens, I just think that everybody has the right to defend their home. If you have own weapons or whatever, and it doesn't matter who it is that's coming into your home to take it, you have the right to defend your home. But yeah, I don't know how true all that stuff that guy says is. That timeline that guy is from doesn't exist anymore. So that's one thing. And then another thing is, in that timeline, he probably was subject to quite a bit of propaganda. I think it'd be a disservice to the information that he is giving to not realize that it's probably being presented through that lens, where he probably was subjected to heavy propaganda from a clearly seemingly white supremacist version of a future United States. That's what it seems like. I mean, if everybody looks like Mike Pence and stuff, pretty weird. But no, I mean, these things actually happen though. Like, gangs can move into neighborhoods and be like, this is ours now and shit. And with the country destabilizing the way it is, we might see that more and more. So there might be some truth to that. Maybe it got exaggerated, maybe not. But yeah, I guess just the number one thing I think is kind of like, I really like the thing that he said earlier. I can't remember who it was, where we shouldn't have borders. Like, we really shouldn't have any borders. And I agree with that. Like I think that we need to respect communities and sort of respect like local cultures and local ways of doing things and stuff like that. Because if you don't do that, then things would become too homogenized and weird anyway. But yeah, I do agree with the fact that we do need to kind of have a global culture, a global world culture, where the borders are at least, more or less open, like, and not in a way where it's like, all right, just come in, whoever you want. We're more like where the resources are there everywhere, so it doesn't matter. Oh, you want to come over to our country? Yeah, Dave's going to your country today too, because we're all going to each other's countries. Because the only people we need to build a world where the reason why you go to another country to start a new life is because you like their culture, not because you're doing it out of desperation. Like that, nobody should be forced into that situation to begin with. And that's really the only way to address this issue, is to address it at the source of the problem, which is nobody should be being forced to have to leave their homes and march through rivers and swim through oceans and march through deserts and stuff like that, just to try to find stability and just live. Like, that's definitely the number one issue that we're seeing right now. And I kind of want to look up now this Tommy Robinson guy real quick, just because I have a feeling I'm really not going to like him. But he attacks Muslim and eatery, punching man and outside England match in Portugal. Swings at protester after being hit with a milkshake. It seems very sensationalized coverage of this guy here. Arrested in Canada. Anti-Muslim hate monger. Okay. I don't like Piers Morgan at all, but let's see what Piers Morgan had to say to him.
Would you have a ban, like Donald Trump suggested in America? Would you have a ban on Muslims entering the country, new Muslims trying to have a home in this country?
I believe we need to protect the British public right now.
So what's the answer to the question?
British Muslims?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, the British public. I didn't say British non-Muslim public. I said the British public. We've had.
What
would you ban?
We've had three terror attacks. Children are being killed.
Yes, we all know what's been happening.
Yes, I would. I would stop.
You would ban all Muslims.
I would temporarily halt Muslim immigration to this country until we get a grip of the problem. I differentiate Muslims from Islam.
Right. Okay? But what you don't do.
Differentiate Muslims.
Muslims are people. Islam is an idea.
Yeah.
Islam's an idea. A bad idea.
Islam is a faith.
No, it's an idea.
So I don't know. It just seems like a bunch of BS right here. Like, I don't feel like giving that energy, that toxic, shitty energy, but on both sides. It's just like, I just don't even want to watch that. But what's up with him being in Canada and getting arrested in Canada? If this guy's like some English nationalist, I kind of want to see this.
Unlikely to appear.
What have we got warrant for?
We've got an outstanding immigration warrant. We'll talk about it in the vehicle. Okay?
One outstanding what?
Yeah, outstanding immigration warrant. We'll talk about it in the vehicle. Okay?
So if this guy is like some English nationalist and the country is in like decay and all this crazy stuff, what's he doing in England? Like not in England, in Canada. Why is he in Canada?
Absolutely insane. Give me a lawyer. Can you not tell me what I'm under arrest for?
You're under arrest for having an outstanding
under
warrant.
arrest.
I'm happy to provide you with all of your
Outstanding
rights.
warrant.
Yeah, for an outstanding immigration warrant. Should you jump in there, please?
Tommy, but yeah, there's all this stuff going on in England, and then okay, so this was 2 months ago. So cancel that. Doesn't matter. Is he in England though? I hear that he left England during all this stuff.
I said, well, don't come in and talk shit saying this. If I want to, I'll smash you. Don't say it. Unless you're going to do it. Unless you're going to do it. Unless you're going to do it. Are you going to do it? Unless you're going to do it. Unless you're going to do it. Because I'm fed up idiots.
Foul energy. Foul.
Oh, you think I'm being intimidated by you, bro? I'm not intimidated by you. I'm not intimidated by you. I don't give a As I told you, as soon as you walked over here,
Look at how calm this guy is being. I have no idea what's going on, but this guy's being pretty calm, and then he's just like freaking out.
You're gonna do something. Do it then, bro. Do it then. Like stirring that you do. What's stirring? It's back to your ass. Your ass went.
Yeah, this guy's screaming. This Tommy guy's screaming, yelling, and the other guy's just like.
That's stirring. That's like. Tommy, that's see you later. Can you tell me what I said that annoyed you? No, just give me one thing.
You put my people down.
I feel like this is like the wrong thing. Like I feel like I'm stooping to the level of like, just like not a good level by like looking at this guy. Like I feel like I'm stooping low by even like looking at his face and letting him be on my channel. That's what it feels like to me, like intuitively. Like it feels like just. Yeah, this guy, the energy he reeks is just hateful. I can't find anything on him that's kind of more recent. This is all 6 years ago, 1 year ago. I don't know anything about this guy. I personally am going to do my best to never give him any more of my attention again because he seemed pretty lame. But Muslims worship Nanuta. I don't know what that is, but from what I understand, they worship Allah. I've actually been to a mosque before, twice. I grew up with 2 different Muslim friends. One was named Hassan, one was named Ahmed. And both of them, I ended up at the mosque at one point. And they didn't try to convert me to their religion. The guy did say stuff on the stage about how they're right and they're the one right religion, but so do Christians, you know. And yeah, they didn't say anything about Ninurta. I don't know what that is. They were talking about Allah, which is like another word for God. We need to have every country fully financially stable and self-supporting. Exactly. That's pretty much, yeah, like nailed it, right? Like, I'm looking at your guys' comments right now. It's scary here in the UK. Awful clash of cultures, increase in violence, knife attacks, and acid attacks. I'm really sorry to hear that. That sounds terrible. Like, that sounds absolutely terrible. You know, I live fairly close to Minneapolis, I used to, fairly close to Chicago, and I saw the civil unrest that happened during like Black Lives Matter, but it wasn't like acid attacks and like people getting stabbed though. I didn't see anything like that. People were upset. I was at a protest one point and I had a guy with a sniper rifle, like, was pointing a sniper rifle at me. Like, that actually happened. And I was there because I'll say it, I was there as like I was upset about police brutality and I was protesting against that. That's why I was at this protest. But we were just like marching. We weren't doing anything violent. And yeah, we had guys like with like sniper rifles pointing at us and stuff, which I guess they're allowed to do. But yeah, that's scary, and I think that it's sad because what's gonna happen when you start busing a bunch of people into a country, and then you don't give them any resources, so you don't give them anywhere to live, and then some of them are forced to commit crimes to survive, maybe, or even like the fact that there are Muslim extremists, because you can't ignore that. That's a real problem. Like, there's a concert in Germany where people got stabbed, and this organization that was a Muslim organization came out right out and said it was them. But that doesn't mean that Muslims condone that, and it's kind of like saying like because there's also been Christian extremist terrorists and stuff like that too, and just all extremism is bad. Common sense, though. I mean, some people can't see past that though. Like, people get extreme with their beliefs, and that's bad. Like for instance, like believing we need to live in one with like be with the earth and like technology is screwing things up. Like, that's cool. Like, I agree with that. Does that mean you go the route of the Unabomber? No, that's not right. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to believe something, but to act upon it with such violence and such vitriol hatred, now that's wrong. And it doesn't matter what belief you're acting upon. Like, it can be like a good belief, like we are not doing enough to protect the environment. You don't kill people to make that point. I don't know. So I just like I said, I used to, like, the older I get, the more I realize that nonviolence is really actually a powerful tool. Because I feel like they kind of actually don't know how to react to it. Son of Enlil in disguise. Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So yeah, I don't know how much more I have to say. I just thought this was important to make because, like, yeah, like with her comment here, Gemma, I don't know if you're still here in the chat, but there are people who are genuinely concerned. There's problems going on in the world, and we have people who are concerned and they have the right to be, but when you react with hatred, that's when it's wrong. And yeah, I don't think the answer to this is like an increased strength of nationalism and like stronger borders and like pushing the people from the countries we destabilized away and not doing anything about the fact that their countries are destabilized. This is a global issue. Until we confront what is happening to these countries that don't have enough resources and that are being taken over by militias and gangs and stuff like that, until we're able to tackle those issues, yeah, basically we need to stabilize global economy where there's a strong working class across the board, where there's a strong middle class, and it isn't just the super rich and then the ultra poor. I think that's a lot of what we need to do to fix things. And I also want to end it with, I'm not here because I have all the answers and because I have all the solutions and because I know right from wrong. All right. I like this because this is a really good example. I would appreciate it if you, Sam Skywalker, if you just stop watching my videos. Just I don't want people like you consuming my content. Like, you're calling these people apes. You're a fucking racist piece of shit. I don't want you watching my channel. I don't want you consuming my content. I don't care how fucking enlightened you are. I don't care how many books you've read. I don't care how spiritual you think you are. You're fucking full of horse shit. Go watch somebody else's channel. Leave your comments on somebody else's shit. I'm not interested in you consuming my content. All right? I'm for a unified earth. So if you're going to call people apes and throw around hatred and shit like that, why are you here? What are you doing on my channel? Like, do you not understand like what we need to be doing? Like, you can't call other human beings apes. Like, do you realize that we're all like so similar in DNA that we like literally you can't tell us apart? Like, if you couldn't see the skin difference, like, you wouldn't even know the difference. Like, that's manufactured division. So yeah, like, I'm sorry, but like, yeah, I'm just gonna bring this up. Like, some people in our fucking community are absolutely ape shit, and Sam Skywalker guy is fucking ape shit. That's ape shit. That's insane. Like, and I can't even tell if you're like a troll and you're just trying to like stir up a dramatic reaction and waste my time, or if you're being genuine. That's how fucking stupid your comment is, dude. So anyway, I'm just gonna block you from my channel now. Ban user and delete their comments. Isn't that amazing? All right. Fucking got rid of that guy. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. That was a pretty good end. Like, it's okay to have questions about these manufactured crises going on, to be worried about where you're from, not having like the right resources, but don't let that lead you to not looking at these people who are coming across the oceans and deserts and things like that as human beings. I didn't even look at the American crisis, actually. I should probably do that before I end this, because I am literally in the United States. It'd be kind of weird not to. Let's look at immigration crisis USA. Just a second here. Pressure for action is growing as caravan of thousands have been recorded going through Mexico. And this was 7 months ago. Okay. So I've seen this. Hold up. I've seen this basically the same exact headline like 7 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's not funny, it sucks. But like, obviously this has like been an issue for a while, and it keeps on coming up.
New concerns about the migrant influx at the U.S. southern border. Top U.S. and Mexican officials closed a high-stakes meeting on the crisis, saying they're taking new steps to stem the record flow of migrants. ABC's Justin Finch has more.
The mayors of New York City, Chicago, and Denver sounding the alarm about the national immigration crisis. Denver made
something that I want to say during this, and it sucks having so many examples, but there's a lot of examples I have where I couldn't find them when I looked them. But like, I remember watching this documentary about this like back in the day, where it showed like there was like a news company like bussing in all of these immigrants like from all over the place, like busing them to the border. And then at that time it was a huge thing all over the news, like how there's like thousands of immigrants coming across the border. But what's not being talked about is how there are actually like agencies and stuff like that, like, are helping busing these people in. And that's why when you saw a lot of the pictures of them and stuff like that, they should have looked like dirty, their clothes like ripped. Like, no, they're all wearing like nice clothes, like had nice things on. And that happened, and I don't want that to detract from all the people who come across this country, come across deserts and swim across waters, and actually they're not bussed over here. They people die trying to come to this country, okay? That genuinely just want a better life. But then you also do have something weird going on where they are this psychological operations of the military. I know it's what it is because they work with the media. So that's why they're busing people into England, busing people to the border. They are creating this crisis on purpose. And the only thing I can say about it, like my biggest message is these are human beings that actually are in crisis, being used as pawns in a political game. And if we forget that, we forget our humanity.
Mayor Mike Johnston says his city is scrambling to process busloads of arriving migrants.
We're looking at about $160 million of potential costs going into next year's budget. That's almost 10% of our entire city budget.
The trio of Democrat mayors accusing Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott of cruel and inhumane politics for busing migrants across the country. New York City now working to accommodate some 200 migrants bussed in from Philadelphia after their flight from El Paso was diverted due to weather. In response, New York Mayor Eric Adams now mandating advance notice for migrant arrivals and restricting when and where they can be dropped off.
To be clear, this is not stopping people from coming, but about ensuring the safety of migrants and making sure they can arrive in a coordinated and orderly way.
Now,
like, that's great. That'd be amazing. Like, I love that message of that guy, but is that even possible? Is that possible? The scope of this and the resources that we have as a nation, like, look at how many people there are. Like, and then, like, how are they all just in a line like this? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to discredit the thousands of immigrants from South American countries who literally, there's no media, there's no psyop. They're walking. They're trying to live a better life. But
at the border, the Biden administration says there has been a significant decrease in migrant arrivals in recent
there's these news companies
in days that reported downturn as U.S. Secretary of State.
Like, yeah, it's a problem, but they want you to see if they show you like a family at the border and not like whole caravans full of people, it's not going to give you that visceral reaction. They need you to emotionally react to it and freak out, and that's why I think they're doing this. It's not that it's manufactured and it's not happening. It's that they want to manufacture the reaction, the angry reaction from people. They want people to be freaked out and angry.
State Antony Blinken with Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas met with Mexico's president and cabinet Wednesday. Mayorkas calling the meeting very productive as an administration official says Mexico revealed new plans, including cracking down on migrant smugglers.
So I think this is wild though. Like the governor of Texas was just he was taking in some of these migrants. He wasn't turning them away at the border. So these are some of them that he took in, and he didn't know what to do with them. So he just sent some of them to New York and like other places. Like, that's how crazy this is getting. Like, because some of them are getting processed through the country, and it's not like they're here illegally, is what it sounds like. And then they're like, okay, well, where do we put them now?
Mexico's president pressing the U.S. for more aid into Mexico.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, this is so obviously manufactured. These shots right here.
Countries like Cuba and Venezuela, where many migrants are coming from. Pressure.
Again, I've watched the videos of people like in tears when they meet like somebody who finally is from civilization that like has water, and like, I am not gonna gaslight the fact that there are people that right today this is happening. They're coming over here, and there are people who die trying to come over here. But this looks manufactured to me.
For action is growing as a caravan of thousands has been reported moving through Mexico toward the U.S. border.
My whole point is, I'm going to end the video now actually, is these are human beings in this crisis. They are actually coming from destabilized places, and they want a better life. Unfortunately, there might be bad people that get mixed in. Because we are seeing some crimes happen and things, but we need to remember that these are human beings, and we need to remember that if we can't respect each other's faiths, if we can't learn to do that, we're just going to fight religious wars till the end of time, and there's going to be genocide and just terrible things happening till the end of time if we can't figure out how to just respect each other's faiths and live among each other. And yeah, I would say conveniently comes up around most election times. Isn't that funny how that works? pretty strange how that works, isn't it? Yeah, I agree. I agree. Trey's myths and tunes. Like, yeah, there are psychological operations that are right underneath people's noses. It couldn't be more obvious, but it's too much of a can of worms for people to. It's too much of a can of worms for people to present it. Why was my chat deleted? I didn't delete any of your chat. The only thing I did was get rid of that Skywalker guy who was calling other human beings monkeys, because that's fucked up. That's the only person that got kicked out of the chat or got anything deleted. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I just want to say, like, I posted a video about this before where I was like, I felt like I wasn't addressing, like, I was like, oh, everybody that's freaked out about this issue is like a white supremacist and is a piece of shit. And I feel like that was not nuanced enough. Like, I wanted to explain myself better. Like, I understand why there are people who are concerned about the immigration issue, because it is an issue. We need enough resources to take these people in. And if a government is busing in immigrants, like, hey, come on, we got buses, come on, and then they get there and they're like, all right, bye. And they're like, wait, we no jobs, somewhere to stay, and they're like, we didn't say that. We just said we're gonna bus you over here. That is fucked up, and that you can't tell me that's not manufactured. You can't tell me it's not. So those poor people, they're human beings, man. Like, being caught in this political game, and then the people too who are worried about the stability of their communities who are being affected by this, also being caught in this political game, which like our friend in the chat here said earlier, kind of conveniently seems to always come up during election season. And it's sad to see people use as political pawns like this. Okay. So the chaos in the UK feels orchestrated, done on purpose. Yeah, that's what I'm saying kind of in this, is it seems manufactured, like problem, reaction, solution kind of stuff. And also divide and conquer. Because, like, yeah, a unified people of England, that means they can challenge their government on things, they can stand up for themselves, they can concentrate on social issues that matter to them, they can concentrate on workers' rights, on strengthening the middle class, things like that. But if they're focused on this immigration issue, then that's the number one issue right now. That's what they're going to be focused on, and everything else kind of gets thrown by the wayside. So it's just interesting. Not interesting, but yeah, I just felt like it would be messed up of me to not address this thing after, because I made that video about like all the problems in the community, and I felt like it was over generalizing the problem, and I just wanted to kind of make a whole entire video on the subject, because we're anti-mind control here at Disclosure Now, right? That's number one what we do. Like, it might be about the secret space programs and esoteric technologies and time travel, because of what I've experienced. That stuff is really important to me and dear to my heart, and it's the information that I feel like I can present because I was involved in these Black Ops projects and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, the main goal of this project, this channel, is to cut through the psychological manipulation of humanity and the mind control. And what we see here at Disclosure Now is that they are using divide and conquer tactics to turn neighbors and people who could be friends against each other and turn people into enemies, forcing people out of their homelands into foreign territories, and then having those people get spit on once they arrive. Or also you have with these bad actors, like, we've heard of some stabbings and some things happening. How manufactured is that? How many of those were done by MK Ultra operatives and stuff like that? How much of this is just all orchestrated and designed to rile you up, rile up your emotions, make you afraid of your neighbors, make you afraid of accepting people who are different from you, from different cultures, etc., etc. I just think that, like, it's 100% reasonable to be worried and, like, I'm not claiming to have all the answers, but if you come to a conclusion where you start, it's like out of hatred, I'm just so worried about that because I see these people, they're just full of a lot of hatred, and on both sides, people are angry and hatred's coming out, and I think that's what they want, and I think to just step back and examine that, and just kind of say something about it. That's kind of really was the point of this. That's all I wanted to do. So that's what I did. I've been thinking about it for a while. So I just want to remind you guys before I go, I do have a Patreon now. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you guys. It's not a link. You'll have to take that information, and it's pretty easy though. I'm just Arkeem Ra on Patreon. So I have exclusive content over there. I break down an MK Ultra song, what the music video means and what the lyrics mean once a week. I got life updates. I post music. I post poetry. And really, it's just a way for you to support this channel and make sure that it's free, that it stays free, and then I'm able to do this. I do not make much money off this, but enough money to pay my rent and not become homeless would be ideal. That would be nice. And so far, so good. But I can't continue to do that without your guys' help. So that's my Patreon. And then if you want to show me some love, if you like this stream, if you thought I did a good job, and you just want to support the channel, my PayPal is lothcontact@gmail.com. And I'm really messing up. I'm getting better and better at this. I really should have posted this stuff in the description of the video. I keep on forgetting that. But yeah, if you guys can send any bones my way, car insurance came up recently. That's expensive. Groceries are expensive. Life is expensive. And I also want to thank all the people who have donated. The last time I threw that up, people actually donated. It really helped me a lot. I was able to get some like good organic food when I went grocery shopping and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. I just really appreciate it that, you know, if you guys help me out, I'm able to live a more healthy lifestyle and be happier and be able to do better work here. So I hate it. It feels like a grift, but I know it's not. It's always been this way, you guys. Like people like me who are gifted, who like are using these programs or whatever, and they go out in the world and try to remind people who they are and wake people up and remind people of the spiritual nature of the universe. This is how we have to make our money. Like a pastor at a church or something passing around a collection hat. This is how we have to live. And I appreciate everybody who understands that and contributes so much. And to those who don't, because they're also poor like me and just watch the channel, you guys all kick ass too. I couldn't do this without you. If you don't have money to contribute to me, that's totally fine. Most of the content that I put on my Patreon will eventually trickle over here after some time. But some of it I can't because YouTube will give me copyright strikes and stuff. So that's why I do the music video thing exclusively over there, is because even though technically I should be able to do it, it's free use, like fair use laws, they still give me strikes. They've done it to me before, and so I just trying to avoid that. So, but yeah, and yeah, well, I'm gonna end it with Rocky Mountain Skywalkers Watchers comment, and that is the Dark Ones are trying to keep everyone in fear, separation, and anger. Do you want them to succeed? Always remember that when look at the immigration crisis and what we're seeing right now with the instability in the world through that lens that Rocky Mountain Skywalker is trying to show you all right now, is that they're trying to keep everyone in fear, separation, and anger. When you remember that, and then you look at this information that you're being presented with about these immigrants and about this refugee crisis we're seeing, because it's not an immigration crisis, it's a refugee crisis. I actually probably called it the wrong thing. These aren't immigrants, they're refugees. I actually did them a disservice probably by calling it an immigration crisis. It's a refugee crisis. But yeah, they're trying to keep us in separation and fear and anger. Remember that these are human beings. Also remember that, you know, it's perfectly okay to, you know, feel like you want your home to be safe, and that you want your government to be, if they're going to help immigrants, they're going to bust them in, well, then they need to have a plan. Like, that's not unreasonable to say that. Like, and if they don't have a plan, then why are they busting them in the first place? That's not an unreasonable thing. And also, these people are human beings. I keep on repeating myself. I love you guys so much, and I'm sorry for being, if I was a broken record a little bit in this stream. But I just thought this was a really important issue. I can see that it's definitely like a problem, reaction, solution thing where there are people behind the scenes pulling strings and making things happen and trying to get reactions out of you. And just remember what Rocky's Mountain Skywalker Watcher says. And when you remember that, you're able to use that discernment that we all talk about so much in a very effective way. Yeah, I appreciate the comment. Maybe I will at some point. Anyway, you guys have a good one. And also my book. Yeah, Space and Time Unlimited, guys. It's on Amazon. Ursuli, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, says they highly recommend it. Thank you so much for your support. And yeah, you guys have a good one. And I'm sorry if I kind of reiterated like the message of this. I could have done this in 5 minutes. Like, I really could have, but I wanted to illustrate what I was trying to say more with some examples. So, and the message that I could have said in 5 minutes, to repeat myself for the last time, is this is a manufactured crisis, but these are refugees and they're human beings. People have a right to be concerned. I do not have the answers for this, but the long-term answer, which we can't do short-term, we need to find short-term band-aids now, but the long-term answer is we need a stability in all countries on Earth. We need a stable Earth, a stable global community. Now, a stable country over here and a stable country over here, but unstable countries over here. No, we need stability all across the board. Then this issue won't exist anymore. And we need a unified Earth. It's not about becoming xenophobic. It's actually the opposite. How do we open up our hearts? How do we open up our borders? How do we create a world where it doesn't matter if, like if somebody wants to come to our country, they're not going to do it out of desperation. They're just going to come to visit because why would they do that? Their country's fine. Everybody's country's fine. The only reason why people visit places is because of the culture, because they want to, because they want to experience it. Let's build that world. Let's imagine that world. Let's visualize that world. That's the best answer I have. And I'm not saying it's the answer, the end-all answer, the right answer, but that's what I got, guys. I love you all so much, and take care. And, yeah, remember, we are the disclosure, and we are the change we want to see in the world. And, yeah, take care.